The religion of Islam is something that Allah has given since Adam alayhi salam all the way to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It's the same religion. Inna dina indallahi al-Islam. And when Allah described, for example, the Israelites, the people before us, people usually consider them Jews or the Jewish faith, it's a different religion. But actually the original sons of Israel, they said, وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ, that we are Muslim only before Allah. Those were words that came from them in the Quran. And later on in the Quran, we said, نَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ, we are Muslim before Allah. Meaning the religion that they had is no different, it's the source is the same as ourselves. And that ayah that describes our religion as Islam goes from Ibrahim. ما أنزل على إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط وما أوتي موسى وعيسى والنبيون من ربهم. All the prophets, everybody has always had Islam. Now why am I bringing that up? Because of course there are differences. The Jewish law and the law even given to Musa alayhi salam is not the same as the Sharia given to Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They don't have the 5 prayers like we have them. They don't have fasting on the days that we have. They don't have a lot of the rituals that we commit ourselves to. So there are differences too. So now there are 2 things. On the one hand, it's the same religion. On the other hand, there are differences also. So how do we understand that? Think of it this way. The base, the foundation of this faith is exactly the same. The roots are exactly the same. But that same one tree, one set of roots, one bark, but there are different branches. But each of those branches goes back to the same roots. Now, the thing is, if one branch cuts off, the tree doesn't die. Another branch cuts off, the tree doesn't die. How does a tree die if you attack the roots? The roots of all of these faiths is always the same. There are some principles, some values that Allah has always expected from all human beings, and those are the common denominator. That's what brings, whether you take this fruit from this tree, or this fruit or that fruit, all of those fruits still belong to the same tree, because they were all fed by the same roots, you understand? So the problem happens when people look at this fruit and they compare it to this other fruit and say, oh, they're not the same. This one's a little more colored, this one's less colored, this one's gone old, this one's still fresh, etc. And they start arguing about these differences, while actually the first thing to understand is that they were both being fed from the same origin. So what is that common root that Allah Azza wa Jal gave? He describes it in different words, but basically it boils down to 2 things. Being honest and being grateful and being sincere to Allah, and then being good to humanity. It boils down to one of those 2 things. Do right by Allah, and you have to be sincere and humble before Allah, and you have to be grateful before Allah, and you have to admit mistakes before Allah. That's always been there in every single prophet's teaching. And you cannot do wrong by people. You cannot cheat people in business. You cannot mistreat children. You cannot mistreat parents. You have to take care of your neighbors. Do right by people. Those are the 2 pieces that have always been part of the root of this religion.